The first warning came as a whisper through the static-filled comms. A single coded message intercepted by Earth's intelligence network said only one thing: she is the key. At first, no one understood what it meant. But by the time the Defense Council broke the code, the planetary shields over Earth's skies were already flickering under alien interference. High above the planet, an alien fleet drifted in perfect formation, silent and unmoving. They did not fire. They did not send demands. Instead, every human satellite and defense system began to respond to commands that were not Earth's. The control was precise, surgical, and terrifying. It took hours for intelligence officers to confirm the source: a single alien woman with neural command over the entire planetary defense grid. Her name was Lysera, and she was unlike anything Earth's operatives had seen. Half her face shimmered with living circuitry. Her eyes glowed violet, reflecting streams of data no human could comprehend. She didn't need consoles or crews, she was the control system. With a single thought, she could open Earth's skies or burn cities into ash. And yet, she had not attacked. She was waiting for something. The Council knew only one thing: no missile, no cyber attack, no weapon could bypass her mental link. They needed someone to get close to her, someone who could find a weakness in her mind or heart. That was when they called him Ethan Kael, a field agent with a history of impossible missions. He was given one task: earn her trust, gain her desire, and use it to break her control. Failure meant Earth's defenses would never return to human hands. Ethan read the mission brief twice, then looked up at the dim war room lights. "You want me to seduce the most dangerous woman in the galaxy?" he asked. The lead officer didn't flinch. "We want you to save Earth," he replied. They both knew the truth. This mission wasn't about weapons or codes. It was about influence, persuasion, and surviving close contact with someone who could crush his mind with a thought. He arrived on her station under the guise of a diplomatic escort, his credentials forged with care. The alien station was a cathedral of technology, each wall pulsing with faint light as though the structure itself was alive. Lysera's guards, tall and expressionless, escorted him to a chamber where the air itself felt charged. She stood there, motionless, watching him with eyes that seemed to read his thoughts before he spoke. "You are not what I expected," she said. Her voice was soft, but it carried an undercurrent of absolute command. Ethan forced a small smile, keeping his tone neutral. "Neither are you." Her gaze lingered, searching for something beyond his words. He could feel the pull of her mind brushing against his own, a testing pressure that made his skin prickle. This was no ordinary meeting. It was a battle of wills, silent and invisible. Lysera moved closer, studying his face. She didn't blink. "You are afraid," she said. Ethan gave a short laugh, stepping forward. "Maybe, but fear is useful. It means you still care about something." That answer made her tilt her head slightly, the faintest trace of curiosity in her eyes. It was the smallest crack, but Ethan knew it was a start. He would have to be careful, precise, and patient. Winning her attention was one thing. Winning her trust would be far more dangerous. For the next hour, they talked, though every word felt like part of a larger game. She asked questions about Earth, its skies, its people. He asked questions about her station, her duties, her role in the fleet. Neither gave real answers, yet neither walked away. And as he left her chamber under guard, he realized something critical. Lysera had not dismissed him. She could have ended the conversation at any moment, but she let it continue. That meant she wanted something from him too. Ethan spent the night in the guest quarters assigned to him, though the term guest felt misleading. The room was comfortable, but clearly designed for surveillance. The walls hummed faintly with the same living circuitry as the rest of the station. He knew every word he spoke, every movement he made, would be recorded. That meant his first real test had already begun. In the morning, 2 guards escorted him to a viewing deck. Through the wide, transparent wall, the black void of space stretched endlessly. Beyond, Earth shimmered as a blue and white jewel, but it looked smaller from here, fragile. Lysera stood near the edge, her back to him, her hair flowing like dark silk under the artificial breeze. She didn't turn as he approached, yet he felt her awareness settle on him instantly. "You were restless last night," she said. Voice held no judgment, only fact. Ethan stepped beside her, keeping his posture calm. "I'm in a place no human has ever stood before. Rest doesn't come easily here." Her gaze shifted to him, her violet eyes luminous. "Most humans would fear me more than they would admire this view," she said. He held her stare and answered quietly, "Maybe I'm not most humans." That made her study him for a long moment. There was something about her silence that felt heavier than her words. She moved away from the window, gesturing for him to follow. "Walk with me," she said. They moved through corridors alive with faint light, passing alien officers who didn't hide their suspicion. Ethan ignored their eyes, focusing on Lysera's measured pace and the subtle way the station systems seemed to respond to her presence. She led him to a chamber lined with holographic projections. Planets, moons, and star systems floated in the air, each glowing softly. "This is the defense grid," she explained. "Every shield, every weapon, every drone, it is all here. I can control it with a thought." Ethan looked at the projections, realizing that in her hands, the galaxy itself could be reshaped. "Why show me this?" he asked. Her lips curved in a faint smile. "Because you are here to see, not just to speak." Her words struck him. She was giving him access no outsider should have. Either she was testing him, or she was sending a message he decided to push. "Then tell me," he said, "why Earth? You could hold 100 worlds like this." Lysera's eyes narrowed slightly. "Because Earth resists. Your people are unpredictable. That makes you dangerous. It also makes you interesting." He caught the smallest flicker in her expression when she said the last word, and he filed it away. They spoke for another hour, circling around questions neither would answer directly. She asked about his life before service. He told her pieces true enough to sound sincere, but carefully stripped of sensitive detail. He asked about her childhood, and she offered only that she had been chosen at birth for this role. Every exchange felt like moving through a minefield, each step calculated. And yet, there was something in her tone that wasn't entirely guarded anymore. When they returned to the main hall, her guards fell back without her command. She paused and faced him, her expression unreadable. "You will dine with me tonight," she said. "We will speak further." It wasn't a request, and he knew refusing wasn't an option. Still, the fact that she extended the invitation meant progress. As the guards led him away, he allowed himself one small thought. This mission might be moving faster than expected. Back in his quarters, Ethan reviewed every word and gesture from their conversation. He wasn't just gathering intelligence. Now, he was beginning to map her reactions, her pauses, the faint shifts in her voice when he caught her interest. He knew this was dangerous ground. One wrong move could turn her curiosity into suspicion, and suspicion into a death sentence. But the alternative failure would doom Earth completely. He leaned back on the narrow bed, staring at the dim glow of the ceiling. Somewhere beyond these walls, Lysera's mind was still linked to every defense system aimed at his home. And tonight, he would sit across from her, sharing a meal, pretending to be a man she could trust. In truth, he needed her to believe that trust was real. The dining hall was nothing like Ethan expected. It wasn't filled with long tables or rows of officers. Instead, it was a quiet, dimly lit space with a single round table at the center. The walls were alive with slow-moving light patterns, almost like the station itself was breathing. Lysera sat waiting for him, her posture relaxed but her eyes fixed on him with precision. She wore a different suit tonight. It was still black and sleek, but silver lines traced along her arms and collar, glowing softly with her movements. The change was subtle, yet it made her appear even more striking. Ethan noticed how the glow seemed to pulse faintly in rhythm with her breathing. He approached without hesitation, keeping his expression neutral but warm. "You are punctual," she said as he took his seat. Her voice carried no warmth, yet it lacked the edge of their first meeting. "I was told this is a rare invitation," Ethan replied. She gave the smallest nod. "It is." There was no food on the table yet. Instead, a smooth panel between them slid open to reveal 2 crystal glasses filled with a shimmering liquid. "It is safe for you," she said, seeing the question in his eyes. A gesture of welcome. Ethan lifted the glass and took a measured sip. The drink was cool, with a strange sweetness that lingered. "Not bad," he said, meeting her gaze. She studied him as if gauging how much of that statement was true. "You adapt quickly." "That is useful," she said. Their food arrived moments later, brought by silent attendants who left without a word. The plates were set with artful arrangements of alien dishes, rich colors, strange shapes, aromas both sweet and sharp. Ethan picked up his utensils carefully, tasting small bites while keeping his focus on her. Lysera ate slowly, every movement deliberate, as though each gesture was part of a larger conversation. "You are not afraid of me," she said suddenly. Ethan smirked faintly. "If I was, I wouldn't be here." Her head tilted slightly. "Others have tried to approach me. They failed." He swallowed his bite before answering. "Then maybe they didn't understand you." That made her pause for the first time since he sat down. It wasn't hesitation, it was curiosity. Ethan leaned forward slightly. "You control more than just weapons. You control fear, trust, and loyalty. You decide whether worlds live or die. But you haven't destroyed Earth. Why?" She set her utensils down, her eyes never leaving his. "Because Earth is not ready, and neither are you." He felt the weight of her words, but also the strange softness in them. "You speak as if I am a representative for my entire species," Ethan said. She smiled faintly. "Perhaps you are." The glow from her suit reflected in her eyes, making them almost hypnotic. "Tell me," she continued, "what would you give to save your world?" He knew this was more than a question, it was a test. "Anything," he answered without hesitation. For a moment, neither of them moved. The sound of the station's distant systems was the only noise. Then she rose from her seat and stepped closer to his side of the table. "I believe you," she said quietly. Her proximity sent a faint charge through the air, as if the station itself reacted to her closeness. "Tomorrow you will join me in the command chamber. You will see what I see." Ethan nodded, hiding the rush of adrenaline her words caused. He was getting deeper into her trust, but also deeper into danger. The closer he got, the more control she had over the outcome. As she turned and left the hall, her guards following at a distance, Ethan sat alone for a moment, replaying every second of the exchange. Each move forward was a step into a place he might not return from. The next morning, Ethan was woken by the soft chime of the station system. The door to his quarters slid open, and 2 guards waited outside. Neither spoke as they led him through the winding corridors. The air here felt cooler, sharper, as though they were entering a part of the station few had seen. When the doors ahead opened, he saw the command chamber. It was a vast circular space with a high ceiling, every wall alive with moving streams of light. Holographic projections of planets and fleets floated in the air, shifting with each passing second. At the center stood a raised platform, and on it Lysera. Her eyes were closed, her body still, but the streams of light responded to her as if they were alive. The room itself seemed to breathe with her. Ethan stepped inside slowly, feeling the faint hum beneath his boots. Lysera's voice reached him. Without her lips moving, "You may come closer." He obeyed, climbing the steps to the platform. From here, The projection seemed endless, stretching beyond sight. Every defense system, every orbital cannon, every drone in the network listens. To me, she said. I do not need to touch controls. I am the control. Her eyes opened, glowing with an intense light that seemed almost inhuman. Ethan forced himself to hold her gaze. Impressive, he said simply. Lysera tilted her head. It is more than that. It is connection. I feel the pulse of every ship, the path of every missile. No attack can surprise me. No defense can resist me. She raised her hand and a distant fleet in the projection shifted instantly. He walked slowly around the platform, studying the streams of light. And what if someone else tried to take this power from you? He asked. She smiled faintly, though there was no humor in it. They would fail before they began. Her confidence was unshakable, but Ethan knew no one was invincible. Even a mind like hers could have weaknesses. It was his job to find them. She gestured toward a cluster of red markers hovering in one projection. These are hostile probes approaching Earth's orbit. I could destroy them now. But I want you to. Tell me if I should. Ethan glanced at the markers, knowing this was a test of trust. Destroy them, he said without hesitation. Her lips curved slightly, and the markers vanished in a burst of light as the projection updated. You choose decisively, she said. That is good. Hesitation kills. Ethan gave a small nod. And overconfidence blinds. Her eyes narrowed slightly, but she didn't seem offended. Perhaps you will prove more interesting than I expected. She stepped closer, the glow of the projections painting her face in shifting colors. Tomorrow, I will take you to the neural core. Few have seen it and lived. The way she said it made his pulse quicken. Whether it was a warning or an invitation, he couldn't tell. As the guards escorted him out, he kept his expression calm. But his thoughts were racing. The neural core could be the key to understanding her control and finding a way to break it. If he could reach it, he might finally see the cracks in her power. Back in his quarters, he began forming a plan. Every interaction with her had been carefully balanced between earning trust and pushing boundaries. Too much trust, and she might see through him. Too much challenge, and she might cut him off entirely. The neural core visit would be his greatest chance, but also his most dangerous move yet. As he lay on the bed staring at the ceiling's faint glow, he thought about her words in the chamber. She had the power to erase entire fleets with a thought. Yet she was still willing to let him stand beside her and speak. That meant something. Whether it was curiosity, strategy, or something deeper, he would have to be ready to use it. The next day began without warning. 2 guards arrived at his door and ordered him to follow. Their steps were quick and silent, leading him deeper into the station than he had ever been allowed before. The corridors narrowed, the walls darker, and the air colder. It felt less like a place for living beings, and more like the inside of a machine. They stopped before a tall door made of shifting metal plates. Strange symbols pulsed across its surface, glowing in rhythm like a heartbeat. One guard placed his palm against a panel, and the door split open soundlessly. Inside was a vast chamber, unlike anything had seen. In its center stood a towering column of light, surrounded by suspended platforms and streams of data flowing. Like rivers in the air, Lysera was already there, standing at the base of the column. She wore no helmet, no visible controls, yet the light and data moved as if obeying her unspoken commands. This is the neural core, she said, her voice echoing softly in the space. It links my mind to every defense system across the planetary grid. Here, I am connected to everything at once. Ethan stepped forward cautiously. The air here vibrated faintly, as though the core's energy resonated in his bones. He could see images flickering within the streams of light ships in orbit, drones patrolling space, energy shields shimmering over cities. It was overwhelming to imagine one mind handling so much information without breaking. How do you Keep control? He asked. Lysera's eyes glowed brighter. Control is not something you keep. It is something you become. I am the network, and the network is me. She reached out a hand, and the light column flared, bathing her in white gold. Radiance. The sight was almost unreal, as if she had stepped beyond being a single person and become something far greater. He studied the core carefully, noting the patterns in its flow. Certain streams pulsed slower than others, forming cycles. If those cycles could be interrupted, even briefly, it might break her link. But he knew he couldn't act now. She was watching him too closely, reading his smallest reactions. It's beautiful, he said, and he meant it. Beauty didn't make it less dangerous. She stepped closer to him. Most who see this do not. Leave alive. You stand here because I allow it. That makes you different. Ethan kept his breathing steady. Maybe I am different, he replied. Her expression was unreadable, but she did not deny it. Instead, she turned and walked toward a secondary platform. Follow me, she ordered. The platform carried them upward, passing through layers of data streams that shifted around them like waves. From here, he could see the entire chamber, the core stretching far above and below. Every thought I send from here travels faster than light, she explained. A command given in this moment reaches every system in less than a breath. This is why no one can defeat me, Ethan glanced at her. And yet, you showed this to me. Lysera's lips curved slightly. Perhaps I want you to understand what you are trying to change. That confirmed what he already suspected. She knew he had his own purpose here. But instead of confronting him, she was letting him deeper into her world. Whether it was arrogance or curiosity, it was an opening he could use. When they returned to the base of the core, the guards were waiting. Lysera dismissed them with a flick of her hand, leaving the two of them alone. You will dine with me again tonight, she said. There is more you must know. Ethan gave a short nod, his mind already working through what he had seen. The neural core was not invincible, but reaching its weakness would take more than opportunity. It would take her trust. Asterisk. That evening, Ethan was once again escorted to the dining hall. This time the lighting was warmer, the walls glowing in soft gold instead of cool blue. The table was already set with unfamiliar dishes, each one arranged with almost artistic precision. Lysera was seated when he entered, her eyes watching him as though she had been waiting for his every step. Her attire was different tonight, lighter in color but still form-fitting, the patterns on it shifting like flowing water. The subtle glow traced along her figure, making her seem almost otherworldly. Ethan took his seat opposite her, aware that every gesture he made could be read and judged. You've seen my greatest power, she said. Now I want to know your greatest truth. He met her gaze without flinching. Truth is a dangerous thing to share. Lysera tilted her head. Only if it can be used against you. He leaned forward slightly. And you would use it? Her lips curved faintly. If I must. The words carried neither threat nor comfort, only a statement. A fact. This was her way, direct, unshaken, and impossible to predict. Their meal began in silence, the sound of the utensils and the faint hum of the station filling the space. Ethan tasted each dish, noting the delicate blend of flavors. Lysera ate, with the same deliberate pace as before, her eyes shifting to him between bites. Finally, she spoke again. Why fight for Earth when it will eventually fall like all worlds do? She asked. Because it's mine, he answered simply. She studied him, her expression unreadable. Possession is not strength, she said. It is the belief that something is worth holding, no matter the cost, he replied. For the first time, her gaze softened. She did not respond, but he knew his words had struck something deeper than she wanted to show. She set down her utensils and leaned back. You intrigue me, Ethan Kael. Few dare to speak to me as you do. He gave a faint smile. Maybe because most people see only the power, not the person behind it. That made her pause, her violet eyes narrowing as if weighing the intent of his words. "And what do you see?" she asked quietly. "A woman carrying a burden no one else could bear," he said. Her eyes searched his face, looking for deception, but found none. She looked away briefly before returning her gaze to him. "You speak as if you know me," she said. "I'm trying to," he replied. The silence that followed was heavier than any argument could have been. The rest of the meal passed with fewer words, yet the air between them felt charged. When they finished, Lysera stood in motion for him to follow. They walked through a side corridor that led to a smaller chamber. Inside was a wide viewing window overlooking the endless stretch of stars. She stopped before it, her hands clasped behind her back. "I have lived my entire life in command," she said. "Every thought, every action tied to the defense of worlds. Yet I have never had the freedom to choose something only for myself." Ethan stepped closer. "Then choose now." She turned her head toward him, a faint spark of something unreadable in her expression. "And if I choose wrong?" she asked. "Then you learn," he answered. For a moment, her gaze held his, the distance between them feeling smaller than it truly was. The quiet hum of the station filled the space, but neither moved away. She finally looked back at the stars. "Tomorrow, you will return to the neural core with me. There is more I will show you," she said. The next day came with no spoken summons. The door to Ethan's quarters opened, and Lysera herself stood there, without guards. Her presence alone was enough to command his attention. "Come," she said simply. He followed, noting how her pace was unhurried yet purposeful. They took a different route this time, through narrower halls lined with faint streams of light that pulsed slowly. When they reached the neural core chamber, Ethan noticed the space was dimmer than before. The great column of light still towered above, but its glow was softer, the streams of data moving with a slower rhythm. Lysera walked to the base and turned toward him. "Today, I will show you what I see when I connect fully," she said. She extended her hand. "If you take it, you will share the connection for a short time. You will see what I see, feel what I feel. But there is no way to shield your mind from it. If you are not strong enough, it will break you." Ethan hesitated only for a moment before taking her hand. A sudden warmth surged through his skin, followed by a deep vibration that seemed to settle in his bones. The chamber vanished from his senses. Instead, his mind filled with visions fleets moving in the darkness of space, orbital defenses shifting like living organisms, energy shields pulsing over entire continents. Every system responded to her thoughts, and through her, he could feel them all. It was vast, beautiful, and terrifying. He understood in that moment how completely she controlled it. Yet within the endless flow of data, he noticed something else. There were faint, flickering points where the stream seemed to falter for just a heartbeat before resuming. They were rare and scattered, but real. If those points were struck at the same moment, the link might weaken. He filed the thought away, keeping his focus on the experience to avoid suspicion. When the connection broke, the chamber returned, and Ethan staggered slightly. Lysera still held his hand, watching him closely. "You stayed on your feet," she said. "Few do." He steadied his breathing. "It's a lot to take in." She released his hand and stepped back. "Now you understand why no one can take this power from me." Ethan met her gaze. "And why it would destroy you if it turned against you." Her eyes narrowed, not in anger, but in interest. "You see the danger in everything," she said. "That is why you survive." He gave a faint smile. "It's a habit I can't break." She looked at him for a long moment before turning toward the core. "There is one more thing you should know," she said. "The link does not bind me to this station. I could command from anywhere, even standing on the surface of your Earth. But I remain here because it is the only place I can be certain of control." Ethan nodded slowly, understanding that her power was not limited by distance, only by choice. They left the chamber together, walking in silence. The corridor seemed quieter than usual, the hum of the systems distant and steady. When they reached a side balcony that overlooked a swirling nebula, she stopped. "You have seen my strength," she said. "Now I want to know yours." Ethan turned to her. "My strength is not in weapons or power. It's in knowing when to act and when to wait." Lysera's expression softened slightly. "And which is this moment?" she asked. Ethan looked out at the nebula, the shifting colors reflecting in his eyes. "This is the moment to wait," he said. She nodded once, as if satisfied with the answer. "Then wait with me," she replied. The waiting ended sooner than Ethan expected. The next day, alarms echoed through the station, a deep metallic hum shaking the corridors. Guards ran past him without speaking, their faces tense. He followed the flow toward the command chamber, already knowing who would be at its center. Lysera stood before the neural core, her eyes glowing fiercely, data streams whipping through the air like storms. "An enemy fleet has entered your system," she said when she saw him. They moved toward Earth at speed. Ethan stepped closer, the hum of the core vibrating in his chest. "Can you stop them?" She looked at him as if the question insulted her. "Of course." But he could hear something in her tone, a sliver of doubt hidden behind certainty. He remembered the flickering points in the data streams. If the attack forced her to divide her attention, those points could be reached. And if he acted in that moment, Earth's defenses could return to human control. But it would also mean breaking the trust she had begun to give him. He stood there, feeling the weight of two futures pressing on him. Lysera raised her hand, and the projection of the enemy fleet flared brighter. Dozens of ships fell under her control in seconds, their weapons silenced, their engines cut. "It will be over soon," she said. Ethan's voice was steady when he answered. "Then you won't need me here." Her gaze flickered toward him, briefly, unreadable, before returning to the battle in the streams of light. The moment came when one section of the core dimmed for just a heartbeat. It was enough. Ethan stepped toward the platform's secondary controls, his movements quick but deliberate. His fingers moved over the panel in a pattern only he knew, inserting a hidden sequence into the network. It was the sequence designed to break her link, a weapon not of metal, but of code. She felt it instantly. Her head snapped toward him, her eyes burning brighter. "What are you doing?" The force in her voice was like a physical blow, but Ethan stood his ground, giving Earth back to its people. The streams of light above them rippled violently, the ships in the projection freezing mid-maneuver. For the first time her control wavered. "You would betray me after all I have shown you," she said, her tone cold, but not entirely without hurt. "I came here to protect my home," he replied, "even if it meant losing you." Her jaw tightened, the glow in her eyes dimming slightly. "You think you can win without me?" she asked. The code reached its final sequence. The streams of light shattered into fragments before knitting themselves back together, but now they flowed without her touch. The planetary defense grid was free. She looked at the projections, her hands curling at her sides. "It is done," she said quietly. There was no rage in her voice, only a strange calm. Ethan expected her to order his death, but she only turned away. "You have your Earth," she said. "But know this, without me, its survival will be shorter than you think." He stepped toward her. "Then help me protect it. Not as its master, but as its ally." She froze for a moment, then slowly looked back at him. "You would still have me after this?" She asked. "I would," he said. The silence stretched between them, heavy but not hostile. Finally, she nodded once. "Then I will stay for now." It was not a promise, but it was enough. Together, they stood before the core, the defense. Systems steady once more. For the first time, Ethan felt that Earth's survival might not depend on power alone, but on the fragile trust between them.